Part 3. The Immortals. Chapter 27. The Fourth Heaven and the 13th Teacher, the Victorious. One moment, the Valkyrie and I were gazing down upon the Milky Way. A moment later, I agreed to what she said. I took a tiny step closer to get one last look. Then I blinked when I realized I had stepped over the edge. Free falling, this was a consequence of choice. Hurling toward my body upon the earth, the soul dove from heaven to be deployed. There was air, lightning, earth, and then I splashed into water. For a moment, I thought I was sinking as I frantically searched for her. Now a hand was reaching for us, and I didn't know where it came from. It felt as if I was drowning in the confused world when the hand reached through the ocean. Taking hold, it pulled me upon a boat, and there I found freedom to float. Who are you?
We are victorious. Congratulations, everyone. Congratulations on hitting life's lottery. And when I say congratulations, I'm extending radical gratitude and elation to all of us. The likelihood of you being accepted into Earth School is astronomically low. Trillions and trillions of souls are waiting for their chance to be here. And congratulations on arriving at such a defining moment in human history as we progress into the Aquarian Age. I invite you to practice extreme gratitude for your acceptance into this Earth School and for the miracles and gifts around you each and every second, seeing everything around you as the miracle that it truly is. Notice, in your waking nanoseconds, pause and observe your very first breath. Where did it originate? We can feel certain that it was channeled by the universe, later created by an energetic chemical infusion of carbon and dioxide gifted to us from the plant kingdom, and finally presented to us at one single life-giving action, providing us with life. What if that first breath had not been available? May we express a few seconds of extreme gratitude for this gift. Become aware of your very first heartbeat, then ask, where did it originate? Become aware of your very first thought. Can you trace it back to some first start date? Imagine your first sound. Can you think of the time before you opened your eyes? Or the first movement you took? And before you were born, were you alone? Or gathering with the tribe? So we do not die. We simply were created from something on the inside. So may we express a few moments of extreme gratitude for this divine guide,
he said. He had great wings upon his back, and on his hip there was a sword. His body was covered in armor. He was one of the few on guard.
I come to protect the pure of heart,
he said. Looking at the earth around my body, I asked, have I fallen?
Not quite. You have embarked. For the man or woman who risks their life to relieve the world's pain stands with the purity of all life. How can you question if you are pure in heart when you exist in the heart of Christ?
Said the archangel. Once the hand of this guardian held me, he wouldn't let go. I'd never acknowledged the power of a miracle upon this earthly road, and so I owe it all to Saint Michael the Archangel. I had no idea what he was doing, and rarely did I understand the meaning of my bodily actions. I found myself on the earth again, and now I was guided by this angel no matter what might happen. One minute I would feel him beside me. Other times I felt him within my breath. And when I couldn't take the suffering of life any longer, then the archangel would carry me upon his back, and I knew he was heaven sent. Back and forth, above and below, the mood swings threw me from heaven to hell, but the spirit of the archangel would not let me go. Oh, but why had I agreed to do this? And what was I doing back upon the earth? In this land, the spirit of evil would strike without warning, and any one of us could be swept away by the aggression and anger, when I'd wonder why we'd taken birth. As if I had been set on fire. Sometimes I could not think straight. The mind would judge, criticize, and condemn. There seemed to be nowhere to escape such mindless fear and hate. Then I would feel a nudge, and I would know he was near. If I would listen, I could hear him whisper,
"Do not be afraid. Do not give in to fear."
I'd catch my awareness in this body, walking through the street, or I'd find myself working a job. Everyone continued on as if something had happened, but surely I had gone mad. "What is it, Michael? What have you come to speak? The humans cannot fight this battle alone. Come forth and slay the evil, or put me out of my misery." His booming voice appeared.
"Come, ye, my children, in that ye have all been called unto that way which would show forth thy neighbor, thy brethren, that thy Father loveth his children. Who are his children? They that keep his commandments day by day. For unto him that is faithful and true is given the crown of life. The harvest is ripe, the laborers are few. Be not weary, because there has been that which has seemed to trouble thee. For the ways are being opened to those that show themselves faithful and true. Faint not, for the day of the Lord is at hand,"
he said. Moments became minutes, and days turned to weeks, but the spirit of evil was unceasing, and so the violent cycles of madness would always seem to repeat. What was I doing? And who among us were actually called? Was God even real? Or had the divine beings tossed me out of heaven where my soul did fall? As I roamed the earth, the spirit of evil made me terrified, for I have never been more afraid. The spirit of evil would haunt me, mock me, and drive me into paranoia and rage. I felt trapped every minute. I felt such inward pain. It would haunt me in my mind, but no one else could hear it. So much so that I could not stand to live another day. Sometimes I could barely hear the archangel, and then my hope would grow so lonely and soft. What would become of this world? And even my misery seemed to weaken my vocal cords. Then St. Michael spoke again in a booming voice.
"Bow thine heads, ye children of men. I, Michael, Lord of the Way, would have words with thee. Ye generations of vipers, ye adulterous generation, be warned. Today there is set before thee good and evil. Choose thou whom ye will serve. Walk in the way of the Lord, or else there will come that sudden reckoning, as ye have seen. Bow thine heads, ye who are ungracious, unrepentant, for the glory of the Lord is at hand. The opportunity is before thee. Accept or reject, but do not become pigs."
I do not wish to be swayed by evil, but what are we to do? I am breaking within this mind, and I am calling out to you. The spirit of evil has possessed our world, and I am caught in its dark web. How do I escape the spirit of evil? Cure me, Michael. Do not abandon us before death.
"Imitate the wind,"
he said. The wind! And so the wind spoke. It came crashing through the clouds, and so the spirit of evil shook. A moment later, there was a flash of clarity, as if divine insight poured through my head. I was out of my body, and flying through the clouds with wings. O Lord, am I in heaven or am I dead? Flying over the earth, I found a grave buried in a beach. A storm lingered over the ocean when the wind began to preach.
The spirit of evil is rampant upon the earth. Do not let it take your soul, for you are created from the greatness of God. Arise, warrior. You must fight for the goodness of our world,
said the wind. Was it him? Or how was I getting these messages? I rose from the beach, but the spirit of evil was so possessive. It followed my footsteps, and like a shadow, it stalked me everywhere I went. How did I end up on Earth? I cried out.
Heaven sent,
said the wind. But the spirit of evil is upon us. Omens of darkness are widespread across the land. The spirit of evil is attached to us from within the soul of all women and man. What am I to do when my mind is disturbed by this dark force?
You can pray. You must retain your connection to God's divine source,
said the wind. How can one manage to remember God when the mind is consumed by wicked sickness? My attention was scattered, and evil targeted humanity from many different ways. How has this happened? I feel betrayed.
Do not quit. You know the way. Long ago, truth protected the righteous age, but so the values of earth have decayed. There is only one way to conquer the spirit of evil, and so such a vile sickness must be faced,
he whispered. But why has this happened? I cannot take any more, and how will we survive? For I do not hold the cure.
Look into the nature of your heart, for the answer is pure,
he said. How am I supposed to find an answer? It seems my own heart is blocked, and even when I try to focus my mind upon God's mercy, it seems that only the rambunctious spirit of evil happens to talk. There I am mocked, and the spirit of evil led me to believe that I would not find the way. Please, God, help us. You must show us the way.
Forward. Open yourself to all that you fear. Recovery is in the journey, and once you descend to the heart of the matter, our solution will appear,
he said. On a scale from good to evil, from heaven to hell, my emotions and mind space would drift between the two like an ocean's tidal swell. Right as I thought I found peace, the darkness would pull me back in, and right when I thought I was sinking, the goodness of God's grace would rise up from within. Instead of fighting it, I learned to endure what I could not understand, for it was not I alone who was infected by the spirit of evil. This vile disease had touched every woman and man. In today's world, we were tempted by greed. The people of earth were led into wars. Religions of God were killing each other. But what were we even fighting for? Just when I could go on no longer, I stumbled upon a book titled The Key of Solomon. I drew the sign upon grains of sand when St. Michael descended from heaven.
What is it that you require? I will grant you 3 requests. Choose wisely, child of earth, or else you will be punished by death.
Forgiveness, I begged.
And the second request, what do you ask next?
He asked. I felt them hovering around my body, and so I took a moment to contemplate. Fearlessness.
And the last?
He asked. We need the proper resources.
All this shall be given to you. Do not be afraid. Do not be overtaken by the spell of evil. Go forward and find the way,
he said. But why? I see men far more powerful than I. My mind is twisted by the spirit of evil, and I cannot guarantee how much longer my human body will survive. I see men with great wealth. Why can't it be up to them? I see men with far more ingenuity. Why can't we rely upon one of their solutions or inventions?
Material men can gain power, and they can also achieve great amounts of strength and wealth, but the spiritual decision is not up to them, for this is the path that we were dealt. This is not a time to criticize or critique others, for the answer is within you. As soon as you rid yourself of the spirit of evil, we will usher in the age of truth,
said Michael. But I do not understand. Why wouldn't you give this task to a more powerful man? I am a simple soul. I do not know what it is that you intend.
The men and women of money and power are confined by the spirit of evil as well, yet they themselves refuse to address the root of the issue, and this is why the path of humanity grows ever closer to a state of chaos and hell. If only one of them would rise up and offer what they have, so that the great goodness could flourish. Yet in this capitalistic age, they see their money, power, and wealth as their own, and so the spirit of evil is inherently selfish. Every man and woman has free will. This means they alone have the option to control their own choice. Yet I wonder what will happen to all the billions and millions of personal wealth if the entire world is destroyed. They want to continue to invest and keep their riches for themselves. But what does all the money in the world matter if the earth does not survive to see another day? What good does it do for a man or woman to hoard wealth all for themselves when the world is subjected to such tragedies? It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a sick society. Many men and women were called, but who is it that comes forth to confront the spirit of evil? Can you get to the root and discover the reason evil spreads? Do this, and you'll welcome in a great spiritual revival,
he said. But have I gone mad? How can I make the right choice when evil is after my soul?
Because within your heart center exists the truth, goodness of God's supreme counsel. The reason for your departure from heaven is because the solution must be discovered by the human. And if people don't find the answer within humanity, the age of darkness will always be upon us,
said Michael. I am trying to do everything, but what else am I to do? Why has this happened? Please, Michael, tell us the truth.
The experience you find yourself in is sophisticated beyond measure, and there within this journey is the last labyrinth, which is a spiritual treasure in our center. Let us consider such a dilemma. Let's even say you have been overtaken by the spirit of evil. Know that all beings on heaven, earth, and even the spirits under the earth are watching, and so we are all rooting for the spiritual revival for the benefit of all creatures and people. There are still plenty of good teachers upon the earth, and even in your supposed wretched condition, they treat you with loving grace. And as for those who ridicule and treat you poorly because of such a condition, then all unseen spirits are well aware of such disgrace. Even as you may feel overwhelmed by the spirit of evil, do not be swayed by it. Trust that humanity will be given the proper resources, fearlessness, and divine power of forgiveness,
he said. I have listened to what you say, but still I feel as if the world has been condemned. Your words bring comfort, but there is still so much that I do not understand. Look at this world. I am afraid of what may happen to our fellow woman and man. Even if I speak this truth to anyone, they'll rebuke me in an instant, for I am not even aware of the full path of God's divine plan. With everything I do, it seems I am stalked by the spirit of evil. How do I belong in this world? And even my family has been subjected to a terrible upheaval. And as I send the Spirit's message out to the world, the few who catch wind of my words whisper how I am nothing but a holy fool. I try to live well and act well, but the spirit of evil does not sleep. One day, I feel as if I rest in God's love, but the next morning, something in my life collapses, and I am the furthest from peace. Please, Michael, why does this sick cycle of suffering always repeat?
Is it your fellow man who mocks you? Are there such comedians, coaches, and businessmen who talk shit and openly ridicule you behind your back? Fear nothing. They target you because they envy you, all because of the deep realizations that they lack. The nature of evil lurks everywhere, but the target is upon your back. This is the trickery in which the spirit of evil attacks. Cast off their wicked jokes and judgments. Stay true to the course. My sword has the power to slay anyone who stands with evil. Rise and go forward,
he said. For years, I scribed the battle against the spirit of evil, and there were many days, weeks, and months, and even years I wondered if we could win. There was so much confusion in the world, and so often, when I looked to the world for support, I was overwhelmed by humanity's ignorance.
Remember, what someone sees in you is a projection of their own evolution,
said Michael. But I did not know it could be this difficult. I have given the journey everything I could. The world is at war, and the spirit of evil rages upon all humans. Meanwhile, I rise to face the spirit of evil, and it continues to hurl more attacks my way. Everywhere I look, I see the world is confused, and I cannot stand what the naysayers say.
Let us examine greatness. Consider your work and life as the finest work of art. Even if they try to ruin it, let us turn our cheek and whisper, "May God bless their hearts." For the nature of greatness is that once it is revealed, it cannot be denied. Even if someone were to burn or stain the most expensive work of art in the world, the impact of such work will never die. Let them attack you. Do not be afraid. In time, my sword will bring justice. I promise that by your effort, you will not be betrayed,
said Michael. All the pressure was breaking us, and suddenly I found a moment where I was able to break free. I considered, if only for a moment, what if the spirit of evil was like a messenger, and there was something that it had come to teach me. As I look back upon my journey, I was curious about the root of the spirit of evil. This led me deeper and deeper to find the truth of creation, and in this darkness, I journeyed into the heart of soul retrieval. For the spirit of evil had no ill will, for it was the spirit of something, and it was the spirit of ego. At the root of all men and women lives the need to be respected, protected, known, freed, fed, rested, a place where our families can find a safe and secure home. And so what is it that gave birth to the spirit of ego? It was the fear of being forgotten, abandoned, destroyed, and being left alone. Not even religion could accept such vulnerability, to be forgotten or whisked away. And yet, by the nature of being thrown into the world of the living, through time, death is what we would all face. The spirit of evil was the spirit of ego after all. And so all the aggression, anger, and hatred stemmed from this origin, and from it fell the causation that tumbled down from all selfish actions. Upon this discovery, I felt a hand take hold of me and lift my soul out from my body. Here I took St. Michael's hand in heaven, and suddenly our spirit was disembodied.
We are victorious. The power of harmony has been freed. It is we who have faced the spirit of evil, and so it is we who will know peace,
said Michael. By going through the process of life, we are called to examine our part in humanity. Yet through the process of dealing with our own spirit of ego, we have to recognize the spiritual nature within everybody, rather than being seduced by the need to only protect and look out for our own family and individuality. When we protect only what is precious to ourselves alone, we are trapped by the spirit of ego, and so this leads to hostility, confusion, arrogance, ignorance, anger, and all the rest of the emotions that lead us to believe in evil. Evil, or ego, is then a type of misplaced energy directed away from our spiritual centers, whereas when we are connected to our spiritual nature, we are in tune with creation, nature, and God as the cosmic creator.
I knew we could do it. I knew we would find the way. We needed to see a living example grow out of egohood so that the pure nature of spirit could be conveyed. Others have seen your growth, and these are the ones who did not condemn you along the path. Wise are they that rise above the spirit of ego, and so they will be spared greatly by God's wrath. Those who have helped you along the way are the ones who have taken good action. As they could either accept or reject you, so their choice was a reflection of their own internal projections. For those who condemned you were ultimately condemning their own spiritual path. And as the truth is being revealed by the law of nature, all that is done will eventually come back. And those who are loving, kind, and gentle to you will be the leaders of all future generations. And those who turned their backs will have to fix their mistakes, or their actions will bring them back into ensuing dark ages. The wheel of life spins round, and it is our actions that decide how our soul will be remembered. Those whose lives are examples of goodness exist upon the wheel closest to the center. Then for those who are cruel and unwise, those who are consumed by the spirit of ego, they live in the endless cycle of suffering, whirling nearest the outer edge, and so their souls are in danger of being tossed off. Once you are flung off from the wheel of life, you do not simply come back. You descend endlessly until you get lost in the vastness of space and its infinite pitch black,
he said. As I gazed off into infinity, there was something I couldn't see. Yet I knew that we were in on the mystery, and so I smiled and felt ever free. You know, I think I've got an answer for your question. Back when you asked about my first breath, you were congratulating us for making it into Earth School. You know, I think this solves the mystery of life and death.
Is that so? And what have you discovered?
Said Michael. It is a gift from the earth, and we owe it all to her. Our breath, our heartbeat, and life itself are all thanks to the Mother. And so I invite everyone to express a few seconds of extreme gratitude for her. Why, without nature, we wouldn't be here. Try to picture our spirit before our earliest memory. Can you think of the person you used to be? Where were you before you were born, before your eyes opened to see this reality? You know, I used to wonder if we were always running away from the spirit of ego. But what if we're just waiting for everyone to come join us in the middle? Either way, This whole experience is all thanks to the earth, who is our mother. And anyone who perceives their shadow and light simultaneously sees themselves for what we really are, and thus finds themselves in the middle way. Whereas a man or woman who is unconscious of himself or herself acts in a blind way and is fooled by all the illusions. This confusion arises when one cannot see clearly, when one is not conscious of the dark parts of their own self. When this happens, the spirit of ego can overtake the soul and make a person think that they are above nature. But now I know no one is above the mother, but rather we are of her. May we all take a few moments of extreme gratitude for the truth of our nature. We come from her. We don't own her, but rather, deep down, everyone and everything is connected into her. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free. May all beings be at peace. May all beings have food to eat, and may all beings have a safe place to sleep. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.